Today, I have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with someone whose rhythm has powered stages across the world, from the raw energy of garage bands to the massive spotlight of global tours. You might know him as a former drummer of Placebo, or maybe his time fronting his own band Planes. But now he's stepping into an entirely new arena, the virtual world of Second Life. And this year, he's making his highly anticipated debut at SmokeFest, bringing his sound to one of the biggest virtual music festivals around. Please welcome the incredibly talented Steve Forrest, a drummer, a singer, a songwriter, and now a pioneer in virtual performance. Hi, Steve.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here.
I'm so glad.
Quite the
We're going
intro. Thank you.
to, I know, right?
Yeah,
I'll get that
woo. Like,
recorded
wait, who's
for you.
this guy? Who's this guy? Oh, it's me. Oh, all
We'll record it for you. You can play it later.
right. my new ringtone every time someone calls me.
That would be a really long ringtone, and I love it.
Yeah, the more obnoxious, the better.
I agree. Oh, we're going to talk about so much today. I want to get started into your past a little bit first. So we're going to rewind a little bit to your roots. How did your journey begin? You began with Eveline, and then what did that teach you before you even joined a band like Placebo?
I mean, it was such an amazing thing. And the band it's pronounced Eveline, and I love that you said
See, thank
Eveline.
you.
No, it's okay because listen, that's the most common. It's so funny. We were like the Oneaters, right? Like everywhere we went, everyone was always like Eveline, and we're like, "Good Lord, we chose the wrong name. Or the wrong spelling."
That's hilarious.
Well, it's so true. It's so funny. Like nobody ever went Eveline, but the thing is, it's like it taught me so much about knowing what I wanted and work ethic as such a young person. I grew up in the middle of nowhere and
Mm.
very musical family, and my dad, very blue collar type upbringing, and my dad, he was a talented musician, and he was like, my dad didn't really support me, so I want to support you, and just whatever you want in life, go for it, but like
Mm.
mean it. And so I started playing, music when I was about 8 years old, and started getting into bands when I was about 10 or 11. And you kind of like a lot of musicians, you start just slugging your way to a point where you finally have like the right chemistry. And Eveline, we started in my garage when I was like 15, and it was
Oh
my
wow.
first band where we were playing original music. We weren't just playing covers. And you got to remember as well, like at that time it was like 2001, so like a lot of really great independent like emo and like indie rock artists were coming out. Like a lot of the labels that existed were putting out some wonderful like Drive Through Records, Epitaph, like all these amazing labels that were putting out. We were really big fans of like early Taking Back Sunday and like early Brand New, At the Drive-In, and Radiohead, and early Dredge, and Sigur Rós. And so we were influenced by all these amazing artists.
Oh wow.
And I was blessed to be with people who meant it as well. And so we would practice like every 5 days a week, and on the weekends we would be hanging out with each other. And so it was a big family. And when we first got noticed, it was a pretty big thing. Like a friend of mine, or ours rather, like he took our CD. Like, okay, back in the early 2000s, we used to burn our own CDs, and we'd go to the mall because people went to the friggin' mall at that time,
Uh-huh.
right? And so like we would hang out at the mall, dude, with like our CD player, one on one end, the other one, half of us at one end, half of us at the other. You want to listen to my band? Come to our show tonight. And we had flyers, and we started gaining a really big local following. And then one of my friends was in San Francisco at there's a band called The Used, and they were playing in San Francisco. And the guitarist Quinn Allman was like signing autographs. Friend of ours like climbs the fence, dude, drops our CD, says, "Check out my friend's band." And unbeknownst to us,
Oh
Quinn
my
and the
god.
boys used to listen to like fans like demo CDs that they would get all the time in the back of the
Oh.
bus at night, right? They
Oh,
would just
that's
listen
so
to it,
sweet.
right? And they would check them out because, like, hey, that's how they got started, right? So Quinn called us the next day. It was like, I want to produce you. And it was this funny thing that my bassist hung up on him because he didn't think he was real because we always mess with each other. Anyway, long story short, we ended up making this really wonderful EP at his house in Salt Lake City. And then from, it was kind of a crazy Cinderella story how it just kind of like
Hmm.
all of a sudden now we're doing like Taste of Chaos tour and like Warp Tour and all these wonderful things. So then we opened up for this band called Placebo that I'd never heard of. We never heard of Placebo, and apparently they were a big deal.
Apparent, just a little bit. It's fine.
Apparently, there's like this, and I remember meeting Brian for the first time, right? Like this tiny little guy, and he had shaved his head at the time. So this little guy with a shaved head and all this makeup. He comes off the tour bus, and we're in our shitty little van, unloading our like shitty gear off this van. And like Brian comes up, and he's got this poise. He's just you could tell this person like, oh, this he's got something about him. And he's like, "Hello, boys," and he's like, "How are you?" And we met, and we got to know each other, and it was only 3 days, but I ended up spending a lot of time with him and Stefan,
Mhm.
and then after that, there was drama and politics, like there are in any bands. With me and Eveline, me and the singer RJ, we ended up. I think he calls himself Perry Rhodes now, but we ended up getting in a lot of like kind of like disagreements, arguments, like borderline
Hmm.
fights. So when we had signed to Warner Brothers at the time, making a new record. And we made some demos, and then they kicked me out of the band. It was like, look, we're gonna go another direction with our friend Greg, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
such like a low point. It was like, oh my gosh, like this thing that we built, and I
It's
didn't
a
really
gut hit.
oh my gosh, it was such a moment where I mean I was only 19, 20, maybe 20 at the time. And so it was, yeah, dude, it was like, holy moly, where do I go from here? And so then a friend of mine who was in a band called We Are the Fury, they were like, listen, why don't you just come out as our tech guy, get out of your small town for a minute, hang out with
Mhm.
us. We used to tour together. So I was like, okay. So I went out and I was like kind of setting up their gear and feeling really depressed about it. My mom calls me and she's like, hey, you know the band Placebo that you opened up for us? Yeah. She's like, well, their drummer just got fired and they're not looking for anybody, so you should probably hit them up. And I'm like, okay. So I get a
Oh
hold of
my
my old
god.
management. They send me this information, and I had made this like video resume, and I
Mhm.
sent it over to them, and they remembered me, and so the next thing I know, like a few days later, I had this phone call like, hello, and it's Brian, and he's like, like, how do you feel about us being gay? Is that okay? I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, do you want to move to London? I'm like, yes, of course I do. He's like, well, all right. So then I moved to London at 21 years old,
Oh
and
my
there was an
god.
absolute blast. It was just this wonderful, celebration, and that was my 20s. And then at the end of it, I just kind of felt like I had a good talk with Stefan in New York in 2014, 2015, and I kind of said, I was like, look, where's my future in this band? And he's like, well, you were the drummer for this band. I wanted to do my own thing. I've always
Mhm.
wanted to produce other groups. I had my own side projects. I had things. I was more than just a drummer. I just got signed as a drummer, and I loved playing drums. But I was like, I'm a writer, dude. Like I'm a front man. Like I got this in me. And he was like, with this group, it's kind of like all or nothing. It's kind of like the Jason Newsted from Metallica thing. It's like you have to be this in this band, and that's what it is. It's one
That's your
dimensional.
role,
That's
right?
your role. Like you're the drummer.
Mhm.
And every time I start, like with Planes, for example, I started Planes in 2011 because I was like, I couldn't contain that. I had, so I started my own band, and I would come off the bus in the private jets and the MTV stuff and all the rock star stuff, and I would get right back into a van with Planes, and we would go tour. We would do like all the
Wow.
clubs, and and I had so much more fun with Planes than I did. Like Placebo was amazing. Don't get me wrong. It was like everything you want it to be, but Planes was like my passion, and so at one point I just decided, like, look, I love you guys, but I'm gonna go this way. And it was amicable,
Mhm.
and they were like, we totally understand, dude. Like
That's
they were like
awesome.
14 years older than me too. So it worked out that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. But then Brexit happened. And they were like, well, you're American, or in England they'd be like, you're a septic. So right, so you got to go back to the States. So my visa got denied, and I hit the ground
Oh
running
my
here in the
gosh.
States, dude. And like it's been kind of a roller coaster. I started a bunch of bands, and then I just kind of really, and I started a family, and so now I'm not even touring with those other bands. And I was like, you know what?
Right.
My wife, like Emma Gilmore in Second Life, she's like, look, there's this whole world in Second Life where musicians can perform in things, and she's like, you should check it out. And then I got with my manager Nick, and he was just like, look, yo, love your music, let's start promoting you. And that kind of leads us
And
to
here we
this.
are. Here,
Here we
here we are
are. Yeah,
today.
I know that was a really long-winded answer. I apologize.
It's okay. So, what do you think? What was the best lesson you learned throughout those years of moving from Eveline to Placebo to Planes? What lesson have you learned the most along the way?
Be patient, I
Mm,
think, and have grace for yourself. You know, I think
yeah.
those are the biggest ones. I think as a young man, I was so eager um, to get things done immediately because I felt like I don't have enough time. I don't want to be in my 30s and I'll be old, and I'm looking at 40 here in a couple of years, right?
Hey,
So I'm
now,
like,
don't say that.
that's it, right? So I'm like 39 in September, and I'm thinking, holy moly, I'm just getting started, right?
Right.
Like how naive was I? And not only that, but how naive was I to not be living in the now? And I know that's such a cliche, but it's true. It's like you're born on one day, you die on one day, you live on one day. And I think if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would say, A, have grace. It's okay to not know it all right now. You don't have to lead with this big personality to cover up your own insecurities. And B, be patient. Build it and they will come. That kind of thing.
Mm, Field of Dreams. I like it.
Straight up. Straight up, baby. You know what I'm
I,
talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I got you. You
You feel
mentioned
me?
your dad. You mentioned your dad in music. What's your favorite musical memory with him?
Gosh. You know, my favorite musical memory with my dad, and it's just being a little boy, and me and my brother, we're about a year and a half apart. We, us sitting at his feet, and him playing all these like old country and folk songs to
Mm,
us. Like that's one of my favorite things about my daddy-o, because once I started getting older and I started taking it seriously, I feel like we actually had a disconnect. Like he never played with me, he never jammed with me. He
mm,
was supportive, but it was my mom who
mm.
came to every show. It was my mom who like made the pins and the stickers and the t-shirts for us, and she was like our
Oh,
biggest
wow.
fan. Like dad kind of like drifted off into the background. And me and my dad, we got a great relationship. I love him to bits, but like it's really just that, being a little boy looking up at your daddy-o singing. And now I have a 4-year-old boy who's going to be 5 here pretty soon because we had the same birthday. And he sings my songs, and I
Oh,
weep like thinking about it, or even talk like when
you're
I
gonna make
when
me
I'm
cry about it now.
I'm telling you, dude. My little boy comes in. He said, "Hey, can you
Oh,
play Back Against the Wall? Can you play this song?" And he makes requests, and he's singing it, and I'm like, "That's because I remember. That's a core memory, you know.
mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about. It's no longer. I don't
It
want to be a
is.
rock star. I just want my little boy to come in and say, "Hey, can we play some music?" And I'm like, "Shit, yeah, dude, I got you."
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you so much for that. I love that. Now you're gonna make me cry. Okay.
Nah, I'm getting you. I'm
So
a sappy one, dude. I'm not even gonna lie.
I am too. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with being sappy.
No, gosh, no, 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 no.
Who do you think were some of the artists that shaped you early on? The ones that when you looked at them, you went, that's what I want to do the rest of my life.
It's a good question. I mean, I think when I was younger, and drums were everything to me. Before I
Mm,
started considering myself like a songwriter, it was Travis Barker and Trey Cool
mm,
and Lars Ulrich. Like those are my top three. And I grew up in a really small town, and all we had was radio, and then my old cassette tapes from like my dad's era. And so I didn't have like I used to I was the kid that every inch of his wall was covered in all these rock stars who I wanted to like. I want to be like them. They're just like me. I want to be like them, that kind of thing. But I loved I love those guys so much because they played with like so much. They were unique. They were like played with heart. It wasn't these cats that had necessarily like um trained chops, but they were unique. Like Trey Cool's drumming is like unique to him. Like Lars, like
Mm.
and it's funny because me and Lars we ended up touring together, and I ended up sitting behind his kit, and I met Trey Cool and Travis as well. So I ended up meeting all these guys later on,
Oh,
which is hilarious.
wow.
But like, but they were my biggest influences as a young drummer. But then when I moved into like my songwriting and stuff, it was always the independent artists. I always had a like relatability to the independent artists because I felt like if you don't go super mainstream, your art gets to remain honest, if that makes sense.
Mm, it
And
does
so like
completely.
bands like the Walkmen, like oh my god, like one of my biggest inspirations, and I don't sound anything like them, but the Walkmen because they're so like Tom Waits and the Walkmen and Radiohead. Even though Radiohead's like this massive band, they never lost that uniqueness to them, that honesty. And the stage for me has always been not a place to perform, but a place to be honest. And
To be
so those
yourself.
were the ones. Yeah, that's right.
You
Absolutely.
share your inner self when you stand on that stage. I feel like you show everyone in the world this is who I am. It's
Right.
very raw.
You wear a mask for society most of the time, to be honest. We all do.
Right.
Right. And so like when you perform, that's always been the tearing your shirt off, honest, like
Hmm.
chest of the world type thing, you know. And so those are some, like some of the artists that really helped me help bring that out in me were honest bands, early Arctic Monkeys, early Decemberists, you know, what the Walkmen, Tom Waits, people like this. They always got me
Right.
going.
That's awesome. Is there any collaboration? If you could collab with anyone, dead, alive, now, later, who would you want to who would you want to collab with?
Oh my god. It's like there's not enough room, is there? There's not, right?
It's
Because
like
you're like,
asking your favorite song. Like it's too many.
dude, right? You're like, okay, like what kind of record? Let's start. Like, what kind of record are we making? What kind of single are we making? A country thing? Oh, well, then it's Waylon. Oh, are we making a
Okay,
a
okay.
rock thing?
How about perform on stage? If you could perform
Okay.
on stage with
Holy
anyone.
moly! Holy moly! Holy moly! All right. I'm gonna have to go, and I know that I already said this before, but Hamilton Lighthouser from the Walkmen is
Mm.
just is one of my absolute either him or Tom Waits, man. Like just to stand up there and like growl out something with these two cats, it would be the absolute ultimate dream come true, no question.
Awesome. What do you think is the thing you're most proud of musically?
The thing I'm most proud of musically, think the thing I'm most proud of musically is letting it go. You know, and I know that this sounds a little bit odd, but in all the accomplishments that I had, it was always like this idol that I had kind of made out of it. You know, like who am I if I'm not a rock star? Who you know, I'm. It was always this ultimate thing, and I've got a plethora of gold records. I've got MTV awards, and I've got all this stuff
Hmm.
um, that meant so much to me. But I think one of my greatest things that my proudest moments with music, at least like psychologically, it has been like getting back to it being fun. It became a job and it became this all
Mm.
consuming thing that I was like, you know, in this life of luxury and I was so miserable and I was in this massive band and I was so miserable and getting back to it being fun and that moment when a song that you're working on comes together or when you strike up a band and it's like you're hit by lightning, it's like getting back to feeling that in the pit of your stomach and your soul. That for me has been my greatest accomplishment or moment in music, to rediscover that, because
Wow.
that's really the essence of what it's all about. You know, all the other stuff is just it gets fetishized.
What about personally? What are you most proud of personally?
Personally, though, I will say a highlight, a big moment would have been winning an MTV award. I think what that was like, because because that was like a night where, like we had done this German talk show, and then we hopped on a private jet, went over to Berlin, and it was the EMAs. And that night, I was joking, got to meet all the Foo Fighter cats, and like Dave like scooped me up and took me under his wing. And I was mucking about with Jay Z, and I was like, his Beyonce was performing, and I was like, "Well done, mate!" Oh, hey. And it was just one of those nights where I couldn't believe who I was, where I was, what I was doing. And then as I go up on stage to accept our award, we're sitting there waiting for Katy Perry to do her thing, and like all of a sudden, like they're like, "Yes, go sit next to Green Day." And that was that moment, you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
I
wow.
wrote fan letters to this fucking band, right? I wrote fan letters to this band, and I got the address wrong, and my dad, pretending to be them, had written back to me. Like this was like my history with this group, right? And
Oh
like this is
my
like early
god.
'90s Green Day too. So like when Green Day was really fucking Green Day, and so all of a sudden I'm like sitting next to them, and Trey's like, "Is this your first time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "You're gonna win if you're sitting on this couch. It means you're gonna win." I'm like, "All right, dude." And he's like, "How you doing?" And Billy reached over. He's like, "How you doing, man?" I'm like, "I'm doing good, bro." And it was like this moment where, and then all of a sudden they're like, and like, and then Placebo, and then shit, and it's funny because like if you watch that clip, we're accepting our award, Brian like comes to the microphone. He's like, Steve is incredibly excited about this. Say hi, Steve. I'm like, hi. And I'm like this, like, and I'm half drunk because they just keep bringing the champagne. And I'm
Oh my god.
22 years old or some shit, like
Oh
I think
wow.
I was 22 years old at that time. And so I think that was like a crowning glory of like the moment where it was like, holy shit, you kind of arrived. And it was such a weird night because you're in this world where it's like, I don't know, it's like all these people that you just watched on TV your whole life, all of a sudden you're like amongst them, but you're not like a newbie amongst them because you're with this band that's been established for so long. So all of a sudden you're
Right.
just like you're in it, and it was so weird, dude. It
Probably
was
very
surreal,
surreal. Yeah.
very very. Me and Pat Smear from Foo Fighters ended up hanging out that entire night until like 4 a.m.
Oh.
doing just all kinds of things that you do. And it was like, yeah, I remember at one point him looking at me across the table because it was just me and him, and he was like, "We've been hanging out all night." I'm like, "I know, man." And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
Of course.
I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" He's like, "No, I know Foo Fighters, but do you know?" I'm like, "Yes, of course. I know the term. I know like your whole like background, bro. Are you kidding me?" He's like, "All right, man, just checking." I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But anyway, it was. I
Oh
think
my
that was
god.
a night. That was a night.
It sounds like it. Okay, we're gonna move to SmokeFest talk now because now we gotta start getting ready because the schedule has been released, so I can talk about it. Sometimes when I do these interviews, I'm like, I can't talk about why we're talking about this, but you are slated to play this Saturday at SmokeFest. So you've performed all over the world, and now you're taking the stage in Second Life. So what has pulled you into the virtual music scene first off? What's been that big pull into here for you? You talked about your family earlier, but a little more detail into what brought you here to Second Life.
You know what what it was? It was the desire, the desire to not only perform, but I've always been like an unconventional kind of guy. And
Mhm.
when it first got presented to me, at this point, we had just moved to a new place, and I'm like, my wife is constantly telling me like, you should put a band back together because I used to front a band called Steve Forrest and the AOKs in Nashville. And it was kind of like our whole thing was kind of like American rock and roll. Everyone wears black suits, and we just go out there and just destroy everything. And that's a little bit what you're gonna see um, on Saturday.
Okay.
It's like a lot of these songs, less music. This is literally the same show. But what drew me to it was just like it was a magnetism. Like I need a stage, I need to perform, and you start discovering that there's this whole world that I was ignorant to,
Hmm.
that I didn't even consider. And a lot of my fan base, the people who I love so much that still love me and, the music that I make, they're all around the world. And like, with the way that touring is nowadays, it's like, dude, I don't have the funding to go out there and start playing everywhere. But through this, oh, now there's a medium. Now it's like I can still perform.
Anybody.
Right, baby. And like, and not only that, but like, sky's the limit on who can
Hmm.
attend. And so I started kind of like, Nick started like walking me down the path and like, hey, this is the community, this is the musical community here. And it's just, I was so intrigued, and I was like, I love how in my world it was so foreign to me that I was just like, shit, yeah, sign me up. To me, it's like wonderful and weird and new. And as soon as I started performing, it was like I started realizing that not only was like everybody so into it, but what a a wonderful community. Like it's getting feel for me, it's getting back to like a really busy or active local scene where everyone's in on it. Everyone shows up, everyone supports each other. It's like
Yep.
we're all getting up there and just jamming, and there's no bravado, there's no ego. It's just like, let's fucking rock out and have a good time. And that's what really attracted me, is the honesty of it. Even though it's like Second Life, and I know that sounds kind of like, you know what I mean? It kind of it kind of
Well, yeah,
sounds
because
like
we all have
condescending,
avatars instead of us out there, so it's different. We're not really putting like our true selves out there. But no, I know what you mean.
but I kind of feel like you are though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Even though it's avatars, I feel like it's people's like truest versions of themselves, like, the freedom to kind of let that out and like wear what you want to and shake what you want to, and like, all that kind of thing. That's what I love. That's what rock and roll is all about. You can't
Hmm.
take it too serious. It's fucking rock and roll, man. This is not some poetry slam with an acoustic
Oh,
guitar. It's a fucking rock and roll. Like, get up,
I love
dance,
it.
shake your butt, scream as loud as you can. I played a gig in Israel once, and I remember after the show meeting all these kids at the fence, and I invited them backstage. I was like, "Come on, let's go hang out." And I remember sitting in a circle with these kids, and they were all forced into the military, because that's in Israel. That's what it is. Like, as soon as you get
Hmm.
18, you have to go into the military. And they were like, they were like, thank you so much, because at the time, because we were playing Beirut the next day, and we're not involved in that shit. We're like, well, look, we're not political. We're like, I'm gonna play here because we love people. We're gonna play there because we love people.
Right.
We're not a part of it. But there was like this whole thing where, because it was us, the Pixies, Gorillas were the three main headliners, and Gorillas and Pixies both pulled out, but we didn't. And they said, thank you so much for not pulling out. And I was like, of course, dude, we love it. And they were like, no, you don't understand. Like, tomorrow we have to go back to duty. Tonight was our one night to be kids again. Like, to
Mm.
remember what life is like outside of this forced military service. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even consider that. You know what I mean? And that's what rock and roll, that's what music, that's what it's all about. So in Second Life, I kind of bring that with me. I'm like, if I can just like entertain you for an hour and just like let you just, even if you're in your own bedroom all by yourself, stand up, clap your hands, and shout it out. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's all about. And that's why I love Second Life, because there's all walks of life from all different parts, and
Yep.
we all come together and just have a jam and have a fun thing without any of the distractions that pull us one
I
way or the other.
I definitely agree. What do you think's been the most challenging part of moving from a live scene to a virtual one for you?
Uh, I think it would have to be like not having a band.
Mm.
That's the one thing that I miss more than anything else. Striking up a band and like you're jamming out, you look to your left, you look to your right, you look behind you. There's a drum kit to climb up on and jump off of. There's a guitarist you get to jump on there. I was very physical, so I was like, I used to have my lead guitarist. I'm like, look, dude, at some point in the set, I'm gonna try to steal your guitar away from you. Do not let me. And he's like, all right. And because it was like this really nasty solo, I'm like, I want to be like fucked up, so I'm gonna try to grab you. Like, I'm not gonna tell you when though. But I like the
Mm.
camaraderie of a band, like the shared goal, the shared angst, nerves, celebration, failures, like the family aspect of that.
Mm.
I think that is really the only thing that I miss. If I could have a full band with me here on Twitch in Second Life, I don't give a shit. Like I would not
That
need
would be the
another
perfect way.
theater. No doubt.
Yeah.
I honestly I would never need to go on a physical tour as long as I live. But that's the one thing I miss is I miss my boys, dude. Like no question.
Okay, so I need you to be honest. How many drumsticks have you thrown at your bandmates throughout the years?
Not too many to my bandmates, but I've thrown a crap ton to the audience. I'll tell you that much. I actually did. Okay, true story. I when I was in Placebo, I would be playing, and every time I broke a stick, I would throw it out in the crowd. The problem with this is it would be happening mid song, so I have one hell of an arm, it turns out, and so you'd split your stick, and it would be like a fucking like a sword, dude. Like the way that your drumstick splits. Right? And I think I was in I think I was in Belgium somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but I threw the stick right, and apparently it was like a fucking dart, and it hit this girl right in the forehead, bam,
Oh
and
my
it split
god.
her open, right, like it fucking like
Oh
split her open,
no.
and she came and our security saw it. We immediately pulled her out of the audience, brought her like to our medical people. She was the sweetest angel of
Oh.
a person. She wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking sue you," or like it's like a Coldplay situation. It was like, dude, it was like
Oh god.
there's a little bit of recent stuff for y'all, but it was literally like she was so happy to meet us and that she got the stick. And I'm like, I give her a big hug and I'm like, I am so sorry. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's, it happens. It's a live show. So after that, my management was like, you were never allowed to do. So afterwards, I
You
would,
are not
every time
allowed
I
to
broke a
throw.
stick, you're right. So every time I broke a stick or like you was like, chipping away at one, I would just drop it and I would grab another. At the end of the show, if you notice any placebo footage, you'll see me walk out to the end of the stage and I have a big old bundle of sticks. And those are the sticks from that show. And I would lob them out as far as I could because everyone in the front, they got the show. So I would try to throw them
Mm.
far as I could for everybody in the back and everything. But okay, but I'll be honest with just me since it's just us. We're hanging out.
It's just us.
So I did throw one at Brian's head once because I was really pissed off at him, and it missed. And Steph saw it, dude. Like, so I'm playing, and I've just got and it was at the time me and Brian like we did end up butting heads a lot in the end. And I really the younger version of me had a lot of resentment and yada yada. So like I'm playing and I'm just staring at him and I'm like, you son of a bitch.
You're seething. We could probably see you
I'm
seething
like,
inside.
bro, dude, and I was like pretty built at the time, so I'm like working out a lot, and I'm like I'm strong, so I know I got an arm on me, and I'm like sitting there, and I swear, Steph looks at me, and like with all my might, I hurl a stick, and it's a bullet, and it misses Brian's head by a freaking inch, dude, like a bite, an inch. I was right to the left. And Steph looks at me and his eyes go wide. He's like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Hey, just kidding, just hey, we're all pals. It's fine." But
It's
like,
fine.
dude, oh my god, if it would have hit him, it would have been so bad. But that was the only time I intentionally, threw one at my bandmates.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So you're playing SmokeFest Saturday. Is there anything new maybe that's coming that you can give us little tidbits on new songs or any surprises or staging for
Well,
your
I'm very
set on
excited.
Saturday?
I'm gonna have a band with me on Saturday in the virtual world, which is pretty awesome. So, like we were discussing earlier, I miss having my band around me. So Nick is actually been getting a band together, so we can have like we're gonna do full production, baby. It's gonna be full band. We're gonna have some dancers.
Nice.
It's gonna be the whole 9 yards. So very excited about that. Um, I've been introducing some new material that's going to be getting released later this year in this
Mhm.
set as well. I've got a lot of new
Nice.
music coming out this year. If you don't already know, in real life, there is a band called D Mob Happy. DEMOBHAPPY. D Mob Happy. One of the most incredible rock bands in the world. I absolutely love these boys. These are like brothers of mine. So me and Matt, the singer, we team up with licensing a lot, and I've got a lot of music that I've been working on with him that I'm basically performing a lot of like the kind of demos of those
Hmm.
songs in this set before the final
Nice.
production, just as a little taste. And of course, a lot of music that's currently out on my Spotify and all digital platforms will be in the set as well. But it's gonna be a. It's like I always tell people, like, hold on to something, baby. It's gonna be just kick you in the chest, rock and roll, man.
Oh, I cannot wait. So excited. I'm going to be commentating on Saturday, so we'll be there.
Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, well, I do hope you enjoy. We're gonna be
I'm
giving it our
sure we
all, no
will.
doubt.
I'm not one to, I don't like labels too much, but if you had to label your music in a genre or two, where do you, you're not, I don't want to say this, it's not in a negative way that you're all over the place. You play a variety.
Yeah,
But if you had to say, this is the bucket that I fit in with most of my music, where do you
I would
feel
say,
like that lies?
I would say probably just alternative rock, to be
Hmm.
honest, because you're right. There's some stuff that's really aggressive, and then there's other stuff that's really introspective and like soft and like
I've even heard a little
I
bit of
love.
country in there too.
Oh, oh, girl, yeah,
I've heard a little bit of country in there too.
I do a lot of ghostwriting for country, and so yeah, every now and then, like but that's the thing. It's like I always talk to my missus about this, and like I've tried to pigeonhole myself to have like anything like, oh, it's gonna be pure rock and roll, it's gonna be this, but I can't do that. I'm like, my
Hmm.
ADHD just doesn't let me. Like I get so inspired by like I told you earlier, right? I love the Walkman, but I
Hmm.
also love the fuck like idols and shit like that. Like I love like heavy, aggressive stuff, but I love really sweet or like spacey psychedelic like Radiohead stuff or like Death Cab for Cutie, like Ben Gibbard, he's one of my
Hmm.
favorite writers of all time. And then classic rock stuff too. So it's like what I kind of try to feel is like, look, you write what you feel, right? And if it's widely out of that range, then create a different project for it. So anything under my own name, it's going to be in the bucket of just like alternative rock,
Hmm.
because that pretty much covers it, I think.
Okay, we're gonna be rocking on Saturday, right? With SmokeFest, we're gonna be
Oh yeah, we're gonna
okay.
be rocking. Like
Good.
we're gonna be rocking. Like there's some numbers to let you catch your breath in there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw some softies in there just to kind of like, all right, take a moment, and then we'll get back to it. But it's yeah, yeah. As long as you feel it, I think that alternative rock, that's always been the best. Too many subgenres these days. It used to be simple. Back in my day, it was just nice and simple.
Oh gosh. Well, you're going to be playing in Smokefest, and it is one of the biggest virtual music festivals that there is right now, and I'm so excited for you. What's the weirdest venue or gig that you've played? Like when you look back and you go, "Yeah, man, that was really fucking weird." Like,
Oh God, I feel like you know the artist Rodriguez. There was a song that it's called another. I think it's another blues song or something like that. He sings. I've played every kind of gig there is to play.
mhm,
Same, and it's hard. It's really hard to say because I've played some very odd shows. I think that one of the most unique shows that I've ever had the privilege of playing was in Cambodia.
oh
And it was
wow.
actually my first show with Placebo. We were the first rock band in history to play in front of the Angkor Wat temples
Oh
in
my
uh,
gosh.
in Angkor, and it was wonderful. And it was for MTV Exit, and we were raising money to support victims of human trafficking. And we actually met a lot of survivors, and it was this
Mm,
whole encampment, like this whole school, with all these different buildings for all these women, and we met these women, and it was hard, dude. Like
mhm,
and hearing their stories. And so we raised money and like to build up their school and provide like bridges for these buildings that because they got flooded, so all these buildings are off the ground. So anyway, but we performed in '08, and it was like this semi stripped down gig, and it was this very spiritual, wonderful thing. I think that was one of the most unique places and gigs of my life, hands down.
I can't even imagine. It really sounds like it would be.
Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. I was blessed.
What's one song that you'll never admit, except for right here today, maybe, that you just absolutely love? Like that it doesn't
Guilty.
ever seem like it would fit something you would love, but man, it goes on the radio and you
Oh,
just jam out to it.
oh
Are you a
God, there's
Swifty? You know, like
uh okay, dude. I'm not a Swifty. I do respect the craft that she does. She's very intentional with what she does. And
Mhm.
I will say that I don't hate on her whatsoever. Like a lot of people like, oh fuck Taylor Swift. Like, nah, dude. Like it's not written for me, right? It's not music that's written for me, but I can respect the craft. A guilty pleasure that I will straight up like pants off, dance off. Let's go. Like just
Mhm.
go on, go nuts. Um, Girls just want to have fun. Cindy Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper, yeah, okay,
I mean,
I
that song
like
comes on, I get goosebumps. I'm like, shit, yeah, dude.
it.
It just gets me going. I would put that song on
I
before a show. Like,
love it.
girls want to have
That's your
fun.
warm up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Girls want to have fun. That's one of the best pop songs ever written.
it. Oh God. Okay. Is there anything that we didn't touch on today that you want to talk about or that you want to let the world know about today?
I do got a lot of music, coming out that I'm very proud of. I've been working
Hmm.
hard over the past year. There's this, I have an EP out currently called Tightrope, and so me and the producer of that, we got back together and we did. I like to do EPs and singles. I
Hmm.
feel like people's attention spans these days just don't really hold for an LP. So I love to do short, sharp things like that. So we got together and did another 6-song EP that's going to be coming out later this year, and I'm very very excited about it. So like go on, like follow me on Spotify and the Instagrams and all that. Just keep an ear out because I can't wait to release it and like share it with everybody.
We're gonna link all
So,
your socials here at the end, so you'll be able
okay,
to.
cool.
We'll
Yeah,
put it all in the
that's
comments of the video.
and because that's what it's all about. Like, I don't really tour much anymore, so it's really about like, hey, I got this stuff that I'm really excited about, and I would love y'all to check it out. And that's pretty much it. I got some new music coming out, a lot of new singles, like I said, with Matt from D Mob Happy. I would urge everybody to go just find D Mob Happy on. You'll see. I don't even need to say anything. Just you'll see. It's the greatest band in the world. It's like when Dave Grohl was like promoting Caius back in the Nirvana days. Like even when I was in Placebo, I was talking about D Mob Happy. I'm like, this band is fucking amazing. It's the best band. It's so yeah. I just a lot of new music coming out, but really, I think it's been. I could sit here and talk with you for hours. This is so much fun.
Well, I'm very glad I could do as well. We unfortunately, schedules,
I
life,
know.
you have a show coming up here tonight a little bit. So we do gotta
Yeah,
end.
I do have a show here in about an hour or so. So yeah.
So I just have one more question and we'll wrap up for you. At the end of it all, what do you hope people remember about you? Not just as an artist, but just as Steve Forrest. What do you want them most to remember about you?
Joy, I think. You know, because I think that's what life's all about, really. Happiness is fleeting. I think that what I hope I can give others and bring out in others is joy. And I hope that at the end of the day, when I'm gone, is that they remember that my joy. That's all.
Well, I think it's very evident, even speaking with you this little bit today, of the passion you have. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been awesome. And I didn't even say this, by the way. Your graphic, by the way, is dope. The pulse
Oh,
right
thank
there.
you.
Like, dude, I can't even believe I didn't. Why have we not spent 30 minutes talking about that? Because that's the that's
No,
dope,
because
dude.
you were much more interesting to talk about.
Well, thank you. It really has been. Thank you for having me. This has been
Of
awesome.
course. Well, Steve, thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to dive into your journey from rocking the stages with Placebo and to stepping into the virtual spotlight in Second Life. Your evolution as an artist is inspiring. And I'm so excited for your debut at SmokeFest and what you will continue to do with your virtual music as we move forward. If you want to keep up with Steve's latest music, performances, and behind the scene moments, be sure to follow him on social media. We'll give you all the links in the comments here. And of course, stay connected with all things SmokeFest and to catch his debut set on Saturday and discover even more talent lighting up the stage. Thanks again for being here. And to everyone listening, we'll see you again next time right here on The Pulse.